Problem 9-21. Find the measure of the missing angle in each triangle below and then classify the triangle as acute, right, or obtuse. So the first thing we're going to do is find the missing measure, which in this case would be y of this triangle, and we'll find x in this triangle, and then we'll talk about classifying triangles. Okay, so first of all, for A, we're going to use the fact that we know that the measure of the angles in a triangle adds up to 180 degrees. So we're using the triangle angle sum theorem to figure this out. So when I look at this triangle, I can see that one angle is 35 degrees. So I'll write that down. 35 degrees plus we've got an angle which we know is a right triangle. So that is going to be 90 degrees. And then the last angle, we don't know the measure of it. We'll just call it y. But we know that when we add up all three angles, they are equal to 180 degrees. Okay, so now we just need to use our equation solving skills to solve for y. 35 and 90 can be added together. They're like terms, and so that will be 125 plus y, and that will be equal to 180. 180. And then we need to isolate the y, so we need to undo this relationship where 125 is being added to y. And so we're going to subtract 125. So minus 125. And this zeroes out. So we only have y left on this side. And 180 minus 125 is going to be well, that would be 6. That would be 55. Okay, so 55, because we would have to break up a 10 to subtract 5, so that would make that 70, and 70 minus 2 is 5. Okay, so we know now that y is equal to 55 degrees. All right, so now we know that we've got a triangle that has 90 degrees, 55 degrees, and 35 degrees. Okay, so this triangle, B, is, we can use the same triangle sum theorem. And so we're going to add together 65 degrees and 55 degrees, 55 degrees plus x. And we know when we add all three of the angles in the triangle together, it is equal to 180. Okay, so let's add 65 and 55 together because those are like terms. So that will be 120 plus x equals 180. And then we need to undo this addition relationship to isolate x. And so we will subtract 120 from both sides. Here it's zeroed out, so we only have the x left. And then on this side, 80 minus 20 is 60. So we know x is equal to 60. So in this case, we have a triangle where it's 65 and 55. Those are the ones we knew about. And the last angle is 60. Okay, so now what we're going to do is take a look at whether the triangles are acute, right, or obtuse. So I'd like you to remember that an acute triangle, acute, is less than 90 degrees. And so we can see that this is an angle that is less than 90 degrees. A right triangle is like a corner, and it is 90 degrees. So an acute angle is less than 90 degrees. And then an obtuse angle is wider than 90 degrees. So it's larger than 90 degrees. All right, so when it comes to triangles, an acute triangle is a triangle where all the angles are less than 90 degrees. So if we look at this triangle, we can see that each one of these angles is less than 90 degrees. So this triangle is an acute triangle. This angle over here has one right triangle. And so that's why we know that this is not an acute triangle. This is going to be a right triangle. And the other two angles are also acute, so we know it can't be an obtuse triangle. So to be an obtuse triangle, at least one of these three angles would have to be larger than 90 degrees, and they aren't. So this one is a right triangle.